Howdy, greetings and salutations, good evening, good day, whenever you get this. I'm recording this for the new moon lunar eclipse in Aries. But whenever you find this, these are timeless. If the messages make sense to you and resonate for you, then it could possibly be for you, but only you'll know that. Hi, welcome. I always have grand ideas about like showing up for these lunar transits with like some notes, some astrology notes for you. And then I get overwhelmed with trying to decide like what's the best few facts. So then I end up not, but maybe one day. But just for today, in the interest of keeping this kind of short, because I am going to pull cards for the different elemental groupings. The eclipse. Okay, so new moon lunar eclipse is when the moon gets in between the earth and the sun and, you know, blocks out the light. New moons, in kind of a woo-woo term, are generally a time for going inward, for manifesting, for trying it's a period of growth that's coming up, and so it's about setting intentions for what you want to grow into, and what you want to bring from the dark into the light. This eclipse is the last eclipse in Aries. What's the fastest way? There's these things called the nodes of the moon, sometimes referred to as the nodes of destiny or the nodes of fate. There's a north and a south, and they change the axis, changes signs every like year and a half to 2 years. And it's been about 2 years since it moved into Aries and Libra, because they're always opposites, sister signs. And this is the last eclipse in Aries. So for the last, there's several other kind of smaller and bigger cycles being wrapped up as well, but just in terms of the eclipse, you know, we are wrapping up a 2-year cycle. It's been about 2 years since the nodes moved into the Aries and Libra axis. And so this is about kind of asking ourselves, or what felt right for the tone of the reading was to kind of ask, what lessons should we bring forward with us from these last 2 years? Like, as this cycle is wrapping up and we're starting, a whole bunch of new things. We're starting the new year, astrologically, just started on the equinox. This is the first new moon of the new year. It's the first, Aries is the first new moon every year. We have Neptune changing signs tomorrow or the next day, moving in from Pisces into Aries. Neptune in Pisces is very dreamy. Neptune is the dreamer, and then Pisces is so dreamy. But Neptune in Aries is about now bringing those dreams, like grounding those dreams into reality and taking action. There's just a lot of big shifts. Neptune, I know we've talked about Pluto changing signs, which is, I think that was like 14 years. That's like every 14 to 20 years. Neptune also has not changed signs in, I think, 13 or 14 years. So these are some big collective shifts that are happening. And then also like smaller shifts that are happening, for us on a more, is it macro level, right? Macro when you zoom in. Anyways, lots happening, pals. It's giving very like slingshot energy. So yeah, it's just gonna be really interesting to see what happens. All right, great. Less than 5 minute intro. I was trying to keep the intro kind of short. I'm starting with fire signs because it is the new moon in Aries. So our fire signs are going to be Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo. If any of your big three, so your sun, your moon, your rising, if any of those are a fire sign, you could also check for your Venus, which is how we love and like to love and be loved, and also your north node. Yes, the same one we were just talking about. Your north and south node, they mean something in your chart, and you can look that up, or you can ask me where to look it up and send me a message. I'll share some astro information with you if you want, where to kind of look up some of that stuff for yourself. But if any of those in your natal chart are a fire sign, then this could be for you. Okay, so I am using the NYC Tarot for our fire sign. So that's what the back of the cards look like. I don't know. It's given real Aries energy. It's given real Aries is fire signs gives real New York energy. So it just felt right. Okay, again, the scope of this reading, because I, meditated, just asked like what does our collective need to hear right now or want to talk about? What's the most useful messages for us to hear right now? And it really came through as a way of like honoring this cycle, or wrapping up this cycle of like what lessons should we take with us moving forward, and like as things that have been important for us, or like what should we carry forward with us? All right. And I say us because I have many heavy Sagittarius placements, including my moon and rising are all Sag, so I'm one of us. Okay, we got 3 of Wands, Seven of Cups, Two of Swords, and 8 of Pentacles. Five of Swords in the shadow card at the bottom of the deck. Okay, fire signs. Well, I feel yelled at, but not in a bad way. I feel like this makes plenty of sense. All right, so always good to keep in mind the scope of the question when you're interpreting the cards and considering what's coming through. So what lessons should we carry forward with us as we move forward? So 3 of Wands, collaborating, working together, celebrating. There's been quite a long time, I would say over the last decade, good portions of it, that many of us have found ourselves in, different, like in the hermit phase, So just isolated, introspective, whether that was kind of something, I don't want to say self-inflicted, but maybe if that was something that you decided to take some time for yourself, or just the way that circumstances kind of worked out. We're coming out of a period of like, and some of that is old, right? Some of that is like growing up in a very like hyper traumatizing situation. So there's a lot of, like hyper independence that comes out of things like that. And so a lot of us carry prickly thorns around letting other people in and letting people get close. But that's something we've been working on for the last couple of years. And it really turns out that there are wonderful, marvelous, trustworthy, kind, loving, incredible people that are available in your life for you to develop stronger relationships with. And there have been a few that have really kind of like shown themselves the last few years. So 3 of Wands is saying like, hey, don't be such a loner. Don't feel like you have to do everything yourself. Value your community, value your friends, value collaboration. Stop trying to do all on your own. That's the personal feeling yelled at, right? Like, stop trying to feel like you have to do everything on your own. Be open and let your friends and other people help you. Okay. 7 of Cups. 7 of Cups. This one, I think, really important. I mean, they're all great lessons, but I mean, they're all important in their way, Jess. You're right. 7 of Cups is a card that reminds us to be really mindful of what we're giving our attention to. So this version of the card, doesn't really have it, but the imagery of the traditional imagery associated with the card has like 7 different cups, and some of them have lovely things like a heart and you know, good things, and some of them have less desirable things, like a snake and something gross. So, not that a snake is gross, there was a cup with something gross. I don't know why I felt the need to clarify that. 'Tis a moment. Okay. Being mindful what we give our attention to is super important, because your energy, your attention is what you are expanding into. It's what you are, it's like your radio frequency. And so whatever it is that you're tuned into is what you're going to have more of. So if you're focusing on things that are not pleasant, or things that are problematic, or things that aggravate you, what you're doing energetically is creating more of that to come to you. So the Seven of Cups is reminding us to be mindful what we're spending our attention on, where we're giving our attention. Next up, Two of Swords. It was 11:11 on the recording when I looked up. Love that for us. Okay, Two of Swords. Perfect timing with the 11:11. Two of Swords reminds us that we can trust our intuition. This version, the traditional version of this card, shows a figure sitting blindfolded with their back to the ocean, and they have two swords with them. And it's just about understanding that we don't need to see everything in front of us to know that we are properly equipped and properly protected to make our way through the world. We don't need to know what's coming next. We can trust our inner voice and know that it's going to lead you in the right direction. That's what Two of Swords is reminding us. Okay. Eight of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles is a card of mastery. It talks about showing up, doing the work. It's also about mentorship. So this could be, I feel like this is two different lessons for one message for some fire signs, one message for some other fire signs. The first one is all about the mastery. This is in the showing up, being dedicated to what you're doing, and recognizing that things take time, you know, often that progress takes time. And you know, this is where that very annoying, like, enjoy the journey advice comes in, but is really relevant. So the benefits that you get through the showing up, through the mastery, through the dedication is really, it's like really significant what you gain from that. And then on the other hand, the mentorship kind of version of it, or message of it, it's about both being open, for you to both be open to mentorship, to learning, to being taught by somebody else. It feels like there's an opportunity for you to learn from somebody new, and that being important, to not let our own ego get in the way, to recognize that, like, hey, you don't know everything, and other people can be really beneficial in offering you assistance, showing you the next step. Yeah, I was starting to feel like, is it also about you potentially mentoring others? And that's kind of like down the road, but this really does feel like the two messages here are either about being like dedicated and dedicating yourself to growing in your craft and getting better and continually like mastering yourself and what you're doing, and also about being open to an opportunity to learn from somebody else. I guess they could be for the same person. Could be. Okay, Five of Swords here at the bottom. So here, oh sweet, Nine of Cups under that. Love that. That's the wish fulfillment card. Okay, great. Love this. Thank you, Spirit. Appreciate that. Okay, so Five of Swords, in this case, in regards of what we're asking and the way that everything's coming through, really feels a lot like being mindful of not self-sabotaging. It's like, have you learned the lessons, especially right in context of like we're asking about like what lessons do we need to take with us moving forward? Five of Swords is asking you to like, did you learn those lessons? And not just like in an intellectual way, like not in a, oh yeah, I totally understand why this and this and this and this makes sense and why I should do those things. but in a way of like, okay, here comes the life spiral again. Here is that situation in different clothing. Here is that situation in a different job. Here is that same way you've been treated in different clothing, you know, whether that's a person or an opportunity, you know, or a lesson. Have you actually learned that lesson to put it into practice so that you can get off the loop and then move on to the next lesson. It's like, get off this loop and go on up to the next level. So Five of Swords is saying, hey, take that moment, take in these lessons. Have they made an impact on you? How can you implement those moving forward? Okay. Sorry, just seeing if there's more. Yeah, I feel this is really encouraging. Like they're like, yes, you are moving on to the next level, but it's just being mindful to like consciously check in on these things for yourself, like these particular lessons. Yeah, I already love that. All right, fire signs, that's it. See you later. Okay, little bonus fire signs. I ended up pulling an oracle card for everybody else, and then I felt bad that I didn't do one for you guys, so I came back. So, let's see which one we got. What are our fire signs needing here? Shift your perspective. Okay. All right. Perspective is a way of seeing and interpreting something. It's a point of view. When you receive this card, it's an opportunity to learn about your perspective. The universe is guiding you to recognize that it is limiting your capacity to see the bigger picture. Sometimes the ego or mind can play tricks and our perception can be faulty. If you are being challenged at the moment or feel that there is a lack of clarity and direction in your life, there's a good chance the way that you're thinking or what you're focusing on has a lot to do with that reality. Take a moment to step back. Ask yourself if you can see the situation from another point of view. Ignore your ego. The ego is the inner voice that operates from a space of lack, and it will consistently use vanity, exterior success, and time as ways of convincing you that things are going to go wrong. So, if anxiety, concern, and overwhelm are impacting your mindset at this time, know that they are simply your ego talking and that you can disconnect from these limiting ideas. Opportunities are moving toward you, but you have to be willing to see them. And then the affirmation says, I am willing to see things differently. Okay. Well, I hope that is some additional help. See you later.